Good morning from Los Angeles. Welcome to Power Hour. It's Friday, December 20th, few days before Christmas and New Year's. Um, Welcome to Power Hour. How is everybody doing? What a week. What a week we're having. Pretty volatile. Volatility is back. I'm going to talk about it obviously in the topics, but so let's take care a little bit of a business first. As usual, I will have Q&A. I will share my positions with you guys. And on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will post open positions to the community page of the YouTube channel. Talking about the YouTube channel, thank you for the support. I really, truly appreciate it. Channel is growing. It's gaining some subs. At this point, we put out the content, people watch, people sub, but more importantly, the existing subscribers, I think, hopefully are going to not only give a thumbs up, but tell their friends that there is this guy out there who's trying to do the best to educate and inform, as this is not trading or financial advice, but it's information, education, and I'm willing to share my 30 years of experience with you all. That's the first thing. The second thing is every Monday, Trading with Sergio is live at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Every Friday, Power Hour is live, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. During the holidays, we may skip a week or so, but it doesn't seem like it's going to fall on any of the days that I do Trading with Sergio or Power Hour. Therefore, I'll be back on. I'll be on every Monday and Wednesday. On top of everything else, we do have members who specifically support the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it to no end. It means a lot. It's not about the money. It's about what you get for your money when you do become a member. If you choose to become a member, you get two different perks. One perk is every Wednesday, members only live happens at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where we all get to exchange ideas, and I have more of a hands-on mentorship or education, actually one-on-one interaction with the members. That's one perk that they get. That's every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. These two next Wednesdays, we're going, since it's falling on Christmas and New Year's Day, we're going to move those to Thursday, so members don't miss anything. Those are great. I really enjoy doing those, and I'm pretty sure the members get quite a bit out of it. So if you do choose to become a member, obviously you get, that's one perk. The second perk is I will send you our team t-shirt. We have a team of members, right? Everybody wears this t-shirt called #KnowYourWorth. It comes in black. If you are an existing member, you didn't get your shirt yet, please email me, sergio@sergioavedian.com, with your t-shirt size as well as your physical address, and we'll ship one out to you free of charge. It's a $30 item on the Gig With It website, which supports the channel by becoming or by being the merchandise supplier of the channel, and we'll send one out to you. It's made in the US. You can wash it a million times. It's going to look as great as it did the first day. So what we do is we wear all these same t-shirts during live streams, member live streams, and we exchange ideas. We talk about the markets. They ask me questions that they have. So that's every Wednesday. With the exception of the next 2 weeks, it's going to be Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you do get a membership, it's $10 a month. I think it's the value you're getting out of that is ridiculous, really. With that said, yeah, I think we took care of business. Well, what a week it's been, right? Volatility is back, and when volatility is back, pros make money. Like today, for example, instead of a turnaround Thursday yesterday, it looks like a turnaround Friday. Look, markets always open, right? The 3 Ps rule. The 3 Ps are patience, position size or positioning, and planning. You have to have a plan, and you execute it, and then either the market cooperates or it doesn't cooperate, and you risk manage and you make sure You keep your winners running, and you get rid of your losers. And we all have losers. Whoever says they don't have losers, then run the other direction, because they're either lying or scamming you. I have plenty of losers, but then I manage losers in a way that doesn't hurt me. And then I let the winners run. And, you have to have specific strategies for each market. We obviously had a very important day on Wednesday, a massive, massive down day, right? And everybody's talking about crash, this, that. Look, market's been going up, making all-time high after all-time high for the whole year. I think 56 or 57 all-time highs. Every dip has been bought. I've done so much content on the channel already regarding all these topics. Please go check them out and share. Please share the videos. I think it's really, really great information. And this week doesn't look like it's anything different. We had a massive sell-off on Wednesday. Why? Because, Federal Reserve met on Wednesday and they decided to lower the rates for the third time this year. Now we're up to 100 basis points, or a full percentage point. And but the comments were a little bit more hawkish than the market expected. So there is a massive expectation in the marketplace that the Federal Reserve is somehow going to manage a soft landing. It remains to be seen. I did a video about that. The success rate of soft landings is not high. You can look back into history. That's the other advantage I have. I've seen pretty much every single movie that needs to be seen. Experience cannot be taught or bought. You have to be in it. You have to live it to share it. And that's what I'm doing, basically. And as you know, if you looked at my position screen Monday, Wednesday, I had puts. I had index puts, and they quadrupled. I mean, look, I sold them all actually this morning right at the open. When I put the positions up today, you guys will see it. And, a lot of people ask, well, Serge, why are you buying puts? Market's making all-time highs. I'm like, yeah, but I'm kind of hedging what I'm doing on my not only trading account, but also long-term portfolio. I mean, you have to hedge once in a while. And when the market gets this frothy and you have internal signals that are not looking good, you have advanced decline line that's kind of going against the market making grinding new highs, and advanced decline is not participating. Put call ratios are down to 0.6, which is very, very, meaning everybody's in, everybody's buying calls. You know what the market makers are going to do, right? They're going to do a little rug pull and then expire pretty much everything worthless. And then it looked like we were going into the abyss at the close yesterday and at the open today. And there was another reason, obviously, that what happened. I think Doge is doing its job, right? They stopped at the 1,600-page spending bill to increase the U.S. government debt, which I'm going to be my first topic to talk about. So I'll have about 7 or 8 topics that I'll talk about as usual on Fridays. And then I'll answer questions. I'll go through charts, my watch list. So hang out, enjoy yourself. Please keep your questions to the end. I will answer every comment and every question. And so on Wednesday, Federal Reserve decided to cut the rates, but their comments were a little hawkish. Hawkish meaning not truly hawkish, but they said, the rate cuts may not be as plenty in 2025, and market was not expecting that, right? And then the sell-off started immediately, literally right at 11 a.m. The sell-off started. Well, we know what happened, right? Everything got taken out in the back and shot. The market's kind of struggling, trying to figure out, is there going to be a soft landing or is it just going to be a crash? So, will the Fed crash the markets? I mean, look, the Fed is pretty good at doing a lot of the stuff the wrong way. Okay. What has the Fed been doing wrong? The Fed, well, they're following, I mean, their hands are kind of tied. I'm not really completely blaming the Fed, because our fiscal policy is so horrible, right? And how did we get to $36 trillion to be 37 trillion in another 70 days? Because I'm counting every 100 days the deficit, or the debt, U.S. national debt, goes up by $1 trillion. How did we get here, right? Well, we got here because of horrible fiscal policy, and monetary policy follows fiscal policy. I mean, Fed's hands are tied. When you have politicians in Washington that are just printing and spending, and Fed has to print. Okay, why? Because our income as a government, as tax receipts, is $4.7 trillion. But our expenditures, we spend $7.5 trillion every single year. That includes Social Security, Medicare, and defense spending, and all that, education, and all that stuff, right? Well, when you're taking in 4.7 trillion, which are all the tax receipts, including, by the way, that includes all the capital gains, right? Taxes, and you spend 7.5 trillion, that's going to go up. And this is not a political thing. Both parties are guilty of this, right? And they spend the money they don't have, and then they tell the Fed, well, go just issue some IOUs. We need another $3 trillion. What is the Fed going to do? The Fed's going to issue and add to the money supply. And when the money supply gets to that level, what happened? Inflation came back with the vengeance. We still have 6-7% inflation, and debasing of the currency is happening. Nothing really has changed. But market kind of struggled with what the Fed said, because I think market was expecting 4 or 5 more rate cuts, at least 4 in 2025. And the Fed said, well, they may be slowing down, because now the Fed is caught in a box. I did a really good video, actually. You guys should go check it out, about something called the other ugly S word, not the 4-letter kind. It's called stagflation. Stagflation is stagnant economy, which that's why the Fed is cutting rates, because they see trouble ahead. And inflation comes from inflation, right? So that means a slowing economy with high inflation. Well, Fed is cutting rates now, maybe fueling fires of inflation again. Inflation comes back, so the economy slows down, we have stagflation. And so that's why will the Fed crash the markets? Well, I don't blame the Fed. I blame Washington mostly, but then Fed policy follows fiscal policy. And as far as I'm concerned, what happened on Wednesday and what Jerome Powell said, here it is. He says, summary of the Fed Powell's statement from 12/18, a couple of days ago. He said, inflation is much closer to the 2% Fed target. That's a lie. That's a complete and utter lie. That's not even true. In fact, PPI came out today at 2.4%. CPI is not at 2%. Well, that's their target rate. We're running about 2.5, 2.6, but the basket of what they figure out CPI from is so convoluted. Most of the time it's X food and energy. I mean, who doesn't eat and who doesn't buy energy? Okay, who doesn't buy gas? But my point in all of this is inflation has been 6, 7, 8% per year. Your buying power is being lost by that much, not by 2%. Okay. So that's hocus pocus. 1, activity in the housing market has been weak. Absolutely. Why? Because they raised the rates from 15 years of zero interest rate policy to 5%. Mortgage rates shot up. Housing, I've done plenty of videos on the channel about housing affordability. Who can afford a house with 7.5% mortgage on it? And funny enough, mortgages are exactly back to where they were when the Fed started cutting rates. So everybody expected, well, Fed cuts the rates, mortgage rates go down, affordability index will get straightened out. No. The bond market is not buying a word Fed is saying, not one single one. In fact, the rates that I see on the bond market is higher today than when the Fed started cutting rates. Wage growth in the United States has eased. Yeah, it has eased because people are started to get laid off, number one. Companies are not hiring as much. And even, wage growth is massive part of inflation, obviously. And when you have a country where you have the federal minimum wage is still $7.50 and states obviously a lot higher, people are suffering. The average American is suffering because of inflation, and it was man-made. It's not like this thing that just showed up overnight. And another thing he said, labor market is not a source of inflation pressures. Okay, yeah, because if the labor market is not a source of inflation pressures, what is? It's the money printing, sir. Okay. Fed can be more cautious in reducing interest rates. That was the comment. That's number 5 right there. That all the algorithms read that and they said, push the sell button. That's what started the waterfall. And then, another close up his comments was another fib, let's call it that. Inflation expectations remained well anchored. Yeah, okay. So I am not against Jerome Powell. I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves, and what he said, market did not buy. The other thing market did not buy is what? Market did not buy a word the bond market especially, did not buy a word of what Fed is doing. Okay, you guys look at the TLT. TLT is the 30-year bond or 20-year note, inverse index. You look at that. That thing is at 88. 88. It's lower than what it was when the Fed started cutting rates. So the bond market is seeing through this. What the bond market is seeing is that Fed is going to cut the rates. Inflation is not dead. I've done videos about all this in the past. I've done a video on stagflation. Please go check it out. As if I knew what was coming. Well, sure enough, it's playing out perfectly for me at the moment. And there we go. You know, bond market's not buying it, raising the rates. Mortgage is back to 7.5%. Home affordability is in the tank. That's it. Inflation is not dead. According to the Fed, it's under control. It's not. And now, economy is slowing down. That's why the Fed is cutting rates. Now they put themselves in a box. They're lowering rates. That may fuel inflation right back up again. And that's what the market figured out on Wednesday, saying that, hold on a second. Are we really buying the soft landing thing? So, yeah, I am baffled that the market's still where it's at. And today we're having a massive key reversal day. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll see where it all goes. But, you know, if you have any questions or comments about this, we'll put these videos out, obviously. Please comment, please share, and please put a thumbs up. So the Fed is lowering rates, right? Who wants lower rates, okay? I mean, we as consumers, we want lower rates, right? Because the car loans go down, mortgages go down, but then it doesn't depend on what the Fed is doing. Fed wants lower rates for who? Well, Fed wants lower rates for themselves. Why? When you have $36 trillion in national debt, interest has to be paid on that. That debt has to be serviced. There is a cost to all of this. And the cost is not free. It was free, almost free, at zero for 15 years. After the great financial crisis, we lowered the rates to zero. We kept it there. We were just about to raise them because inflation was coming. And what happened? The pandemic showed up. So for 15 years, we had zero interest rates. Okay, cool. Well, that created the inflation. We raised the rates. Well, when you raise the rates, you're not just raising it for the consumer, you're raising it for the US government too. Because these notes, bonds, there's many tranches of these, right? There's treasury bills, which is up to a year, short term. Then there's treasury notes, which is up to 10 year, 20 year. And then there's treasury bonds, 30 year. These are all IOUs that because of our deficit, of yearly deficit of $2.5 to $3 trillion, we have to create these bonds and notes and T-bills and put it out as IOUs to pension plans, to other governments, basically we need to borrow money. And when you're borrowing money, like you go to the bank, right? They're going to charge you an interest rate. While US supposedly, right, has the best rating in the world, supposedly guaranteed money if you lend money to the US government, because the US dollar is still the global reserve currency, right? But on one hand, we keep printing money constantly and issuing these IOUs. Well, when we raised the rates from 0 to 5%, the Fed raised the rates, their servicing costs went through the roof, okay? Now, not only we are raising the rates on the consumer, we're raising the rates on the US government. And when these bonds mature and their coupon, it's called a coupon, or the interest rate they offer was 0 or 1 or 1.5, well, that's skyrocketing now. And I've done videos in the past again about just the servicing cost of our debt of 36 trillion is up to $1.2 trillion a year. That's interest that we're paying to somebody. $1.2 trillion a year because the servicing cost went up from 0 to 3.5%. And here they are. The US national debt is getting more expensive without a question. The average interest rate on treasury debt rose to 3.4% last month. And there's a Kobesi letter. I follow him on Twitter. Please go do so. Look at this oval. Look at this chart. This is our cost of, this is what we need to pay the world, pay the pension plans, whoever's holding this debt, whoever's holding this bag, right? we need to pay more and more and more and more interest. So not only the US national debt keeps going up a trillion every 100 days, the interest cost on that is going up because all the old maturing bonds with lower interest rates will have to get replaced, and an extra couple of $1 trillion a year, we have to pay interest on that. So interest rates on US debt have more than doubled over the last 2 years. Yeah, because the Fed raised rates, bonds are maturing, we have to pay more. Simple math, really. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out. 6.4 trillion of the debt is currently held in treasury bills with an average interest rate of 4.7%. And that's the interest we're paying on these IOUs on the T-bill side. 14.4 trillion and 4.8 trillion are in treasury notes and treasury bonds, and with an average rate of 2.8 to 3.2%. Well, look where the rates were in 2020, right? Literally like 1%, because we were at zero, but then we have to pay some sort of return to the bond buyer or note buyer. And look where we are now, okay? In effect, the total net interest cost hit a record annualized rate of 1.1 trillion. It's at 1.2 trillion now. Truly, truly mind-blowing numbers, no doubt, right? So who needs the lower interest rates the most? It's the US government. All these notes and bonds and treasury bills that are maturing. So the process works like this. I go to the US government, I buy a treasury note. Let's say I buy a 2-year note. US government, the treasury was paying me 1%, okay? And you know this from your old savings accounts. What happened in the banks? What happened to your money market accounts? You're making more money, right? It used to be zero. Now it's up to 4.5%. If you go to Robinhood, Robinhood is paying you 4.5 APY on your existing cash balance. Well, you're benefiting from it to a point. But when inflation is 6-7%, nominally 4.5% that you're getting is still losing your money, but it's better than losing 6-7. But so I go buy these two-year notes from the treasury. For 2 years, they have to pay me 1% interest on that. Well, now they mature. Well, I want to renew them again, right? Well, next time I go, now they have to pay me 3%, as Kobesi letter suggested. Next time they mature, I go back, and if the rates are still here, now you have to pay me 4%. Well, that's the interest rate cost for the US government. So I believe the US government needs more than anybody lower rates. And this is not going to end well, right? There is a lot of talk about Doge and, Elon and Vivek and fixing things. And then they stretched their muscle last week. There was a bill, right? The U.S. government is running out of the debt ceiling. They have to raise the debt ceiling because we need to issue more IOUs. Without that, we can't. Well, Congress, in order to do that, they had a reconciliation bill of 1,600 pages of pork barrel stuff in there, most likely. And what did Elon and Vivek do? They go, no, we're not going to do that, right? And they cut the thing down to 1,500 pages. 150 pages from 1,500 pages. Got rid of all that. Supposedly, Doge is still working. Look, I am not a Doge or this or that. They're going to have a difficult time. The politics is being played as usual in Washington, and I guess we're going to find out, because a lot of in that bill, by the way, there was a 40% hike for the House members. Think about it, right? They want to pay themselves more to put us in this situation of $36 trillion of debt and $1.2 trillion of interest cost. These are the people who want to give themselves a 40% raise. And supposedly Elon said no, and the bill got shot down. Now supposedly there's a new one, so, that they're going to vote on. But what I'm saying is that at least it feels like somebody's in control now, that we can say no to these people to spend our tax dollars frivolously and give themselves a 40% raise. So, we'll see where it all ends up. But 36 trillion in debt, 1.2 trillion in interest cost is not a good thing. So let's talk a little bit about, next few topics is going to be about Bitcoin, right? What is happening with Bitcoin? I clearly have put it on the channel, how I'm treating MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, Bitcoin. I'm not looking at any of the altcoins, just Bitcoin, because that has become the talk, and that's become And through Michael Saylor, he discovered the infinite money glitch, right, through his company MicroStrategy. Then there is underlying derivatives of MicroStrategy, the 2x ETFs as MSTU and MSTX. I have done really, really good videos about on the channel of how I'm treating these. And next few topics is going to be about that. So what is Michael Saylor doing, right? Short and sweet. He has a company called MicroStrategy. He is borrowing money as convertible bonds, notes. Again, the videos are in the back. Please go click them and then watch them after you watch me now. He's issuing debt and immediately going and buying Bitcoin. Okay. And then he's also doing something called ATM at the market, offering shares, equity, right? Diluting the existing shareholders. And with that money, he's going and buying Bitcoin immediately. As of the last count, MicroStrategy holds 440,000 Bitcoin. It's not leveraged. It's not gonna, there's no liquidation risk, even Bitcoin goes down, and Bitcoin did go down, okay? With this market sell-off, it went from 107 to 92 this morning. Okay, and people are yelling, oh, Bitcoin is crashing, Bitcoin. I'm like, it's just 10% correction. Bitcoin is not crashing. But my question here is Michael Saylor's attempt to front-running everyone, including the US government and the global governments, going to work? Because that's what he's doing. He's trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible before potentially the US government puts Bitcoin in their treasury as a treasury asset, because a lot of other companies are doing this now. They're following his lead. Small, medium, large companies. You know, he went talked to the Microsoft board. Microsoft said, nope, we're not going to put even $1 billion of our $100 billion in treasury bills into Bitcoin. Okay, he got rejected. No problem. But, you know, he's the front man in this. And I believe him for the fact that I've done a video, is he a gambler or is he a genius, right? I mean, he's a genius. He discovered the infinite money glitch on Wall Street. He has an existing company that's producing earnings to a point. But more than that, he's mortgaging everything that he can and going and buying Bitcoin before U.S. government comes and buys it, before Russia buys it. There's talk that a lot of Middle Eastern wealth funds are buying it. But somebody's selling, right? Because Bitcoin is not going anywhere if all this buying is happening. And there's BlackRock that's buying it through their ETF, right? So is Michael Saylor front running the US government and the global government? I think he is. I think he knows what's going to happen. And what he's doing is, to me, look, front running is illegal in our stock world. Okay, we cannot front run. Meaning, if I'm a market maker and I know an order is coming, it's kind of illegal, but we used to do it all the time, right? I mean, you buy before the big buyer shows up, right? And then you sell it to them. So Michael Saylor says he's willing to advise Trump administration on crypto. I met with a lot of people, he said. I mean, he's really, really just like pushing this, right? And look, Trump, to nobody's surprise, he's crypto friendly. He just put Mr. Sachs in charge of AI and crypto czar as a crypto czar. He's very crypto friendly. There are a lot of people in Congress that are crypto friendly. And that's why we took the move that we took from 70,000 to 110,000 on Bitcoin on this last move up. So Michael Saylor definitely wants to front run the US government, because if the US government comes and buys Bitcoin, they're not going to buy 10 Bitcoin, right? They're going to buy probably 1 million Bitcoin, a couple of $1 billion worth, or at least $10 billion worth, which is nothing for the US government. But there is talk that this is going to happen, and there's talk that other governments around the globe are going to follow up. Why? Because the US government is debasing the dollar. It's trash. It's trash. They're trashing it, right? So when that happens, what's a finite asset that could give you or protect you from the debasing of the currency? And according to Michael Saylor, is Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor, the CEO and chairman of MicroStrategy, could potentially be a part of President-elect Donald Trump's Crypto Advisory Council. In a December 18th interview with Bloomberg, Saylor said he's willing to serve as an advisor on cryptocurrency matters under the Trump administration. And look, He is pushing his book, just like everybody else does when they go on CNBC. What do? Oh, I'm buying this stock. I love Uber. I like this. I like that. They pitch their book. That's what Michael Saylor is doing. It's not illegal, right? You don't have to believe him. But I've clearly laid out what is happening with MicroStrategy, what is happening with the options, what is happening with the 2x ETFs that are wagging the dog at the moment, which is the tail. It's all in the channel. Just go click and watch, and you guys will for sure understand what is happening here. There's a massive game that's being played here. Okay. And Bitcoin adoption is not going anywhere, like it or not. And for all of you who are not believers in Bitcoin, you don't have to believe it. But personally speaking, I don't think Bitcoin should be traded. Bitcoin, not the altcoins, not the shitcoins, none of that stuff. I just pay attention to Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin should not be traded as an asset. You should buy it and you should hold it, period. However, MicroStrategy is a proxy for Bitcoin, is a surrogate of Bitcoin, and it's a turbocharged version of it. And then they have these 2x ETFs off of MicroStrategy. The symbol is MSTU and MSTX. Those are supercharged versions of what MicroStrategy is doing. Meaning, if MicroStrategy goes up 10%, those things go up 20%. Those are also not to buy and hold, but then through options and what I did over the last 4 weeks, you guys can go check it on the YouTube page's community channel. The strategies that I'm deploying, that's kind of turning all these 2x ETFs into an ATM machine for me. And I'm doing it again this week. And when I post the positions at the end of the day, before 2 p.m. Pacific, you guys will go check it out. So yeah, Michael Saylor is definitely front running everybody. That's why he's in a rush. He said he's going to offer $42 billion, $21 billion in stock sales, and $21 billion in convertible notes. He did about $6 billion of the convertible notes, immediately bought Bitcoin. Out of the $21 billion, he's done $14 billion at the market sales, stock sales, and he's bought Bitcoin literally every weekend. Okay, the highest he paid, I think, was 102. Right? He says he doesn't care where he buys Bitcoin. He's just going to keep buying Bitcoin. And this was a 3-year plan, by the way. So he's down to like $7 billion left with the stock issuance. Literally, he comes and offers shares, and at the market, that's why it's called ATM, at the market. He sells the shares, immediately goes buys Bitcoin, right? And he slowed down the convertible note offerings. He's probably keeping some powder dry for next year. This was a 3-year plan. It's almost done. And his goal was by the end of 2025, he wants to get to 500,000 Bitcoin. I mean, he could. I don't see why not. And this weekend, he'll put another Twitter post. He puts up this chart with blue dots on it. He goes, up, there's a blue dot coming up. I'm like, okay, he must have bought more Bitcoin. He owns 440,000. MicroStrategy owns 440,000 Bitcoin at the moment, only to go higher. So the thing that there's a lot of people who are against Bitcoin, right? They go like, well, it doesn't mean anything. It's hocus pocus money. It's just internet money. It's not based on anything. Okay, what is the US dollar based on? What's it based on? Toilet paper? What is it based on? It used to be based on the gold standard, right? Whatever amount of gold we had, that's the only currency we could put out. Well, that went out of the window in the 70s with the Nixon administration. Now what? That's why we have 36 trillion in debt, people. You guys got to think. Bitcoin, supposedly, at the moment, well, not supposedly, it hasn't been done yet, is the only finite asset that we have, that you can get into, that will protect you from the debasing of the US currency, what the government is punishing you with, okay? So, okay, what happened to also MicroStrategy this week? Well, no, it was last week, and actually 23rd is going to be the day that every single ETF out there. So you all know there's an ETF called QQQ. It's the NASDAQ 100 ETF Exchange Traded Fund, okay? MicroStrategy was put in there with also Palantir, right? And 2 stocks were kicked out. All right. So this is called a rebalancing, right? This happens all the time. And MicroStrategy is not in the triple Qs. To me, MicroStrategy going into the triple Qs or the NASDAQ 100 ETF is not the issue. You know what the issue is? Bitcoin now is in the NASDAQ 100, period. All the naysayers of Bitcoin, from Vanguard to Jamie Dimon, who are all turning around now slowly, what did they say? Bitcoin is meaningless. It's garbage. It's an asset. It's paper, and it doesn't mean anything. You can't use it. You can't buy a cup of coffee or whatever. No. It's a holder of value. It's digital gold. It's a digital currency, right? Okay. Well, all these people, well, not all these people, every single one of us, well, hopefully we do, we're saving some money. We have an IRA or 401k. And hopefully you were listening and you have been dollar cost averaging into some sort of ETF for the last 10, 15, 20 years. Okay. Well, if you did that with the triple Q, now you own Bitcoin, like it or not. Well, there is a percentage of MicroStrategy that needs to be bought on the 23rd because it's going to be part of that index now. Okay. All right. A lot of people are saying that's going to put an immense amount of pressure on MicroStrategy. It's going to take off, go to 500. No, none of that is going to happen. The rebalancing is already happening. Maybe at the end of the day, it will show a massive amount of volume because all the NASDAQ 100 ETFs that are offered out there, the biggest one is by Invesco. They have to buy MicroStrategy. And triple Qs or NASDAQ 100 ETF is a market capitalization weighted index. Number one is Apple. So if you were to go buy $100 worth of triple Qs, $8.50 of that 100 is going to go into Apple. If you were to go buy the second one, I think is third one is NVIDIA. Second one, I think, is Microsoft. So according to market capitalization is how the weighting is done in the triple Qs. Well, MicroStrategy's weighting is going to be 0.47. So for each single dollar that you're putting into the triple Qs, you're buying 47 cents worth of MicroStrategy. Okay? And you're buying Bitcoin, period, like it or not. Okay? So you are participating in the marketplace. And I am thrilled that MicroStrategy did make it to into triple Qs, and MicroStrategy breaking into the NASDAQ 100 is not the issue. Bitcoin is the NASDAQ 100. Okay, MicroStrategy's upcoming inclusion in the NASDAQ 100 underscores the surge in its valuation and the mainstream recognition of its Bitcoin strategy, the infinite money glitch, I call it, promising broader crypto exposure for investors. So for each investor who is into the triple Q ETF, he's going to own 54 cents for each $100. He's going to own 54 cents worth of MicroStrategy now. And I am thrilled about this. I really am. Like it or not, you own Bitcoin, people. You can complain. You cannot complain. For me, there's nothing to complain about. This is a wonderful, wonderful situation. So from now on, if you do go buy the triple Q and dollar cost average into it, you are owning Bitcoin. And I mean, you can do many different ways. Buy Bitcoin, right? Itself. You can take the custody of it. You can do many different ways. You can buy the Bitcoin ETF by BlackRock, which is IBIT. You can, do that. You can buy MicroStrategy, which owns Bitcoin. I mean, look, there's many, 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 many different ways of getting into it. So while I'm talking about MicroStrategy, what has happened to MicroStrategy? Okay. I don't know. Let's talk. Well, anyway, so let's go back to the video that I did maybe a week ago. And the title was "There's no free lunch on Wall Street." Okay. You all remember what happened to MicroStrategy that single day, right? When Bitcoin was like at 98,000, it hit a high of 540. The same day, it went down to 370. And then it jumped back to about 430 because of the inclusion in the triple Qs. And then, where is MicroStrategy? Today's low on MicroStrategy is almost 300. 540, somebody bought 540 to 300, down 40%. Oh, okay. Is game over for MicroStrategy? I don't know. I don't think so. However, if you did buy it at 540, you're in all kinds of hurt right? And especially if you bought those 2x ETFs, you are in massive trouble, right? I mean, your losses are 80% because MicroStrategy going down 40%. The other ones went down 80%. But is game over for MicroStrategy? No, not at all. That's why I don't trade Bitcoin. But MicroStrategy moves dollar for dollar with Bitcoin. And there's a lot of news out there now that they call it a crash. What happened when it went above 100? Did they name something for that? What crash are we talking about? Bitcoin hit 107,000 this morning. It came down to 92, and it's already at 97. So Bitcoin going down 10% is a crash? I love the mainstream media when they put these knucklehead headlines out. Bitcoin crashes below 100,000 amid massive liquidations after Fed's hawkish rate cut. Look how many oxymorons in there in that sentence. After Fed's hawkish rate cut. How can a rate cut be hawkish? I don't understand these people. And they do write stuff, and then sometimes I read it and I chuckle out of it, get a chuckle out of it. So, but I have talked to you all about something called very, very, very important thing called mNAV. M as in Mary, NAV. mNAV stands for multiple of net asset value premium. All right. So Bitcoin, MicroStrategy holds 400 and close to 40,000 Bitcoin. Let's say Bitcoin is at 100,000, okay, which it is close. That's $44 billion. All right. MicroStrategy as an existing entity, all right, is a company producing earnings. Not really. They have one software. It's kind of struggling. They've been losing money with it. But let's say the enterprise value of MicroStrategy is 10 billion outside their Bitcoin holdings. So now we're at 54 billion. Let's call it 55 billion. Let's be really generous. What the legacy software that they're selling, what the enterprise value of MicroStrategy is outside their Bitcoin holdings. All right. So let's call it 55 billion. Well, as of at 540, when MicroStrategy was at 540, the company's value was being valued at 135 billion. That's called the mNAV, multiplier to net asset value premium. That's the premium that the market was putting on. Well, I did a great video, explained it all. There is no free lunch on Wall Street. So what did Wall Street figure out? Okay, so when the mNAV went up to 3.5 times of their Bitcoin holders, Wall Street said, okay, that's enough of this. They came and pounded MicroStrategy, shorted MicroStrategy. If you look at it, Bitcoin still is at 98,000, exactly where it was at 540. So when Bitcoin was at 98,000, MicroStrategy was at 540. This morning, Bitcoin is 98,000, MicroStrategy is almost 300. See what's happening? You guys see these two charts, right? This is the historical mNAV or NAV premium over their Bitcoin holdings. This is the historical one, but this is the short-term one, the second one down here. You guys see this little spike here? That's 3.5 right here. This is 3 on the left scale is 3. It got up to about 3.5. So I put a video out. I explain all this to you all so you guys can benefit from this part of the education and information. Whenever it gets to 3.5, you got to sell MicroStrategy, or you got to short MicroStrategy. You got to do whatever you need to do. Okay. We're not trading Bitcoin, but I figured I'm a buyer of MicroStrategy and all its derivatives when it gets down to about 1.5 to 1.7 mNAV. Guess we're at 300 today, what mNAV was, people, and what I did, of course. I'm trading the derivatives, the 2x ETFs. Well, let's figure that out. MicroStrategy's value at 300. By the way, MicroStrategy has 240 million shares outstanding. So how do you figure out the market capitalization of a company? You take 240 million, multiply times 300. Well, that's about 75 billion. Okay, 75 billion. Their Bitcoin holdings are 45 billion. With the enterprise value is 55 billion. 75 billion divided into 45 billion is right about 1.7. And when it gets down there, you buy MicroStrategy, you buy the 2x ETFs, wherever that is. When it gets to 2.5, 3, too rich for my blood. I don't think we'll ever see 3.5 again because Wall Street figured out the game. There's no free lunch there. So this morning, I'll show you guys my positions. I've been selling puts on, selling premium on MSTU, which had a 10-for-1 split, but that's not the point. And I want to own MSTU. That's why I'm selling the puts. Actually, I hope I get put 3,000, 4,000 shares of MSTU. But this is the game. So Bitcoin stayed at 98,000. It had a little bit of a fluctuation, okay? So 107 to 92 to 98. But if you look at Bitcoin price over the last 2 weeks, it's 98,000, almost pegged there. What is MicroStrategy doing? MicroStrategy is moving up and down, right? Well, at last time, 98,540. This time, 98,000, almost 300. You guys need to start learning and watching about that mNAV, or multiplier to net asset value. 3.5, super rich. 1.5 to 1.7, bring it. You guys open your hands and start buying MicroStrategy and the ETFs. Again, none of this is financial or trading advice, but I think I'm giving you guys some clues of how to read the tea leaves when it comes to, MicroStrategy and how to trade the MicroStrategy. Do not trade Bitcoin. I mean, there are people who are doing it. Do not trade Bitcoin, okay? Leave Bitcoin alone. Just buy it on an exchange. Put it on your cold wallet, move on. Every time you buy, if you want to sell it, put it back on the exchange, sell it, and get your fiat currency out. Why would anybody do that? I have no idea. Okay, I have now it's up to 12% of my wealth in Bitcoin, because when I bought it, it was like 4% of my wealth. Now, because the price has gone up, now it's up to 12%. I'm never going to sell Bitcoin, ever. Now, I'm not one of those hodlers or whatever they call themselves, YOLO or whatever. No, I believe in it because I believe that the U.S. government's hurting me. I believe the only way I can protect myself is through Bitcoin because it's a finite asset. And that came into question this week as well. What an interesting week we're having. As we all know, many of you may think BlackRock is the U.S. government, the deep state and all that stuff people talk about. All right. Well, we know BlackRock, Vanguard own shares of everything by the millions, trillions, okay? All right. So there's talk. In fact, BlackRock put a video with Larry Fink on it, put out a video, about a 3-minute video, that everybody should have 2% of their wealth in Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, so they're really, really like sponsoring Bitcoin because they run the ETF, which is the IBIT. So a lot of people said there was a disclaimer on that video on the bottom, okay? It said there's not a guarantee that there cannot be more than 21 million Bitcoin. People saw that. They immediately read into, oh my God, can they issue more Bitcoin? If you know anything about Bitcoin, if you know anything about the blockchain, you should all know 2 things, first of all. If you want to get into this game, you should really educate yourself. Bitcoin works on proof of work. All the other ones, Ethereum and all the other ones, in fact, Ethereum used to be on proof of work, but because it takes so much energy to mine, proof of work coins, they went to something called proof of service in 2022. That's why, other than Bitcoin, no other crypto is a finite amount. They may have some shit coins that they say they finite amount, but they can always produce more. But all this took a hold of people and said, oh my God, what if there is another offer of Bitcoin? And what if BlackRock figured out a way controlling a lot of these miners like, Marathon and CLSK and Riot Blockchain? Because if you look at BlackRock owns millions and millions of shares of these companies. What if they force the miners, to do something to create more? Well, that's called a fork. There have been many forks of Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash comes to mind. Look at the chart of Bitcoin Cash. There is no other Bitcoin. Now, BlackRock tomorrow can come and, start another Bitcoin chain, another blockchain called BlackRock BTC or BlackRock Bitcoin. Who the hell is going to buy that? not knowing that it's infinite. They can create a lot of. That's why Ethereum is garbage compared to Bitcoin. Why? Because they can create more Ethereum all the time. They do it. So I'm not worried about it at all. But what I'm worried about, which also was a topic of conversation because I've been trading their stocks this week, is something called quantum computer. Now, I spoke to a couple of really educated people about this, and they go, Serge, it's not an imminent threat, but it could be a threat. And they said, do you think if a government has quantum computing power already, they are going to go after Satoshi's 1 million Bitcoin that's sitting in 2,000 different accounts, 50 Bitcoin at a time? You think that's what they're going to use it for? And to me, it makes sense. I go, what are they going to use it for? They go, they're going to use it for cracking the code of nuclear warheads and start World War III and eradicate the humanity. That's what they're going to do. That's how they're going to use quantum computing. They're not going to use it to go crack somebody's Bitcoin. By the way, when a lot of people ask me about, well, can BlackRock make more Bitcoin because they're controlling everything now, they're in charge, they're like no, because BlackRock doesn't even own the Bitcoin that they're buying through their fund, through the ETF, IBIT. All those Bitcoins are sitting on Coinbase's account. That's where they buy it. Now, the problem with quantum computing is, what if somebody hacks Coinbase and steals all the Bitcoin of BlackRock? Now we're in trouble. Again, Bitcoin will crash, but then it will be a great buying opportunity as far as I'm concerned, right? Because then it's going to go from one account to another. It's not going to be that there's going to be more than 21 million of this thing out there. It's just not going to happen. I'm convinced of that. Now, I may be right. I may be wrong. You guys, leave it in the chat and then we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. But all these things that the media puts out, that uneducated people about Bitcoin put out, oh, there could be 21 million more. What if they make 21? Well, they did. It's called a fork. They did it. They've done Bitcoin Cash, some other stuff they did every time Bitcoin forked, right? But Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. It's 21 million, the original Bitcoin. Even if BlackRock figures out another Bitcoin, create another blockchain, call it BlackRock BTC, why would I buy that fully? The only reason I'm investing in Bitcoin or buying Bitcoin is I know it's a finite amount. It's going to protect me against the U.S. government's debasing of my money. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for any other reason other than that, right? So all these worries, quantum computing, BlackRock hijacking the Bitcoin market, like no, and at the moment they're unfounded. And FYI, when it goes to quantum computing, last word about that is this: there are extremely intelligent people around the globe that are node holders, not note, but nodes. There are a lot of nodes. These are brilliant people. And if you do Google it, go ahead and Google it. They're already working on keys for their Bitcoin, or for in general the public quantum computing resistant keys that they're working on. Bitcoin creators and node holders are not stupid people. They want to protect themselves, obviously, right? So and then the best case scenario, you're looking at 5 to 10 years before a quantum computer can go hack into Bitcoin. And will it happen? Is there a potential of it happening? Yeah. But I don't think if I had a quantum computer, I'm going to go after $2 trillion market and steal some Bitcoin from someone. I'm going to use it for something really, really important. I'm going to go crack all the codes of the nuclear warheads of another country, or I'm going to use it as a deterrent, or I mean, there's so many different ways of using this, or I'm going to create a war and completely eradicate their military because crack into their military communication codes. I mean, there's many different ways to look at this. Quantum computing could be a curse. Quantum computing could be a good thing. All I know, I'm not worried about Bitcoin. I'm not worried about BlackRock hijacking Bitcoin. I'm not worried about it. So I'm gonna on this pull. I was hoping it pulled back to 80,000 so I can buy actually more Bitcoin. I mean, I'm trading my butt off last 4 days with MicroStrategy ETFs, and you guys will see the positions going forward. So couple more topics, and I'll answer the questions and then go to my position screen. There's two things that I believe, okay? In trading, right, and in investing, there's a saying. What does that mean? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Diversify and do this and do that. I'm not a huge believer in that. I mean, if I have true conviction into something, I'm just going to go in it. There is one person, the $400 billion man. We all know him. Who is the $400 billion man? Who is he? Elon Musk, right? All right. He spent, this is all out public information. I'm not saying something secretive here. On the Trump, during the Trump campaign, he spent about $270 million of his money. That's the amount that they put out there. Since Trump got elected, since that day, with the Tesla shares gaining the way it has, how much do you guys think he gained in market cap? How much do you guys think he gained? 270 million he put up. Well, here we go. Elon Musk officially becomes the first person in history to cross 400 billion of net worth. Since November 5th election, Elon Musk's net worth is up a whopping 66%. Musk has made 4 billion per day since election day. So he spent 270 million. Not that he was poor before, but now he gained with that. So he put all his eggs in one basket. He put it in the Trump basket, right? Imagine, I cannot imagine what would happen to Tesla and Trump if the other side won, all right? And I'm like, okay, put all the eggs in one basket, spend 260 million during elections, and his net worth went up by 260 billion. That's what happens, people. If you have conviction, go after it. Don't play the game. Don't hedge yourself. Although I do it quite often, when it comes to short-term trading and whatever not. That's what Elon did. He went and put all his, money where his mouth is, and he's reaping the benefits. He's already creating chaos in Washington. I mean, supposedly it was him that stopped this ridiculous reconciliation bill of 1,600 pages where the House members would have gotten 40% increase on their salaries, right? He goes, no, we're not going to play that game anymore. And there's both sides of that issue. There was the tweet that they got rid of funding for, childhood cancer. But then, then the Republicans put out a whole bunch of pork barrel items in there. And we'll see. This is going to be an interesting 4 years, people. There are some strong-willed, intelligent people on both sides of the aisle. And but I take my hat off to Elon, man. I mean, this is just Tesla, by the way, which is public. He's also got SpaceX that's worth 350 billion. I don't know how much Neuralink is worth. I mean, a boring tunnel. I mean, look, the guy's got so much stuff going on, and I'm shocked that he's able to even consider not working for the government, but being part of it with DOGE, right? Department of Government Efficiency. Supposedly, though, there's a funny rumor going around because if you guys watched him on Joe Rogan, he smoked pot. He supposedly is a pot smoker occasionally. And due to that, they said they're having trouble him getting top secret clearance. I'm going like, maybe they'll just, I don't know. Maybe they will figure that out and give him that top secret clearance so he can look at some documents that nobody else can look at. But so I'm going to finish with this. Today is a major reversal day. I don't know. It was until I started the show. We open lower, closing higher. That's a key reversal day. I don't know what the market's going to do. I trade what it's in front of me. Okay, I'm not going to just guess things. I'm going to use my experience, and I'm going to watch certain things. So what do I watch when it comes to market tops, market bottoms? There are many things I watch, but then there are things that hold true going back, years and years and years. And few of those things, like advanced decline line. So advanced decline line is something that I watch really, really carefully. For the last 9-10 days in a row, advanced decline line, meaning advancing stocks versus declining stocks at the New York Stock Exchange or at NASDAQ. They've been going trending lower while the indexes themselves, with the help of three different stocks in there, kept making new all-time high after all-time high. Well, like, this is bad. Then I'm looking at the equity put call ratio, meaning the ratio between puts and calls on equities. How many people are buying calls? How many people are buying puts? Well, put call ratio runs, it's an inverse kind of an indicator. When everybody's buying calls, market's going to top shortly. And that put call ratio runs between 0.5 and 1.5. So that's the ratio between puts and calls. Well, we were down to like 0.58 for like days. That means everybody's buying calls, index calls, equity calls. I'm like, okay, well, they're going to pull the rug on these people. I watch VIX, the volatility index, which I talk quite often about on this channel. There is a lot of things I watch, right? But when all of those kind of come together, advanced decline line was going down, market was making new highs. Was one of the dead giveaways. Put call ratio staying at 60, everybody buying calls. Another one. VIX was going up while the market was going up. I'm going like, that's kind of strange. VIX should go down when the market goes up. And sure enough, so I bought some puts, and you all saw the positions and whatever. But now I've been following this thing called, this is no joke. And as much as I don't like CNN, okay, I highly recommend you guys go Google something called Fear and Greed Index. This is as of yesterday. And with what happened on Wednesday and with what happened yesterday, at the end of the day, we were in extreme fear territory. So if you're not going to follow anything I'm following, by the way, all the things that I said, advanced decline line, volatility index, put call ratio is part of this extreme fear, neutral, greed, and extreme greed part. Well, we were in extreme fear as of the close yesterday, and I can imagine this number was lower than 23 when the market opened this morning, right? You can kind of look at this and figure that out if you're not going to go into it as deeply as I can. And on Wednesday, when the market tanked by almost 4% on all indexes, VIX went up 74%. Okay, in one day, it went from 15 to 25. Okay, and the VIX, by the way, volatility index always goes up when the market's going down. When the market's going up, volatility index goes down. Volatility index last time when we had the Japanese carry trade debacle, it topped at 50. So volatility index, and then during the COVID, it went up to 80. Okay, so volatility index usually hovers between 12 and 15, and then when it starts going up, watch out, because that means volatility is increasing, which is my bread and butter. I love it. So there is this fear and greed index on CNN you can follow. And this is what I was watching, which Kobeissi Letter hit the nail on the head as usual. We have now had 13 straight days with a greater number of S&P 500 components closing lower than closing higher. That's the advanced decline line. So when I put all those together, I go, let me go buy some index puts, and I paid $5.80 for them. They went as high as 23 yesterday, and you guys figure out what that means in dollars. But I sold them at the open today in the 18 range. Beautiful trade. I'm not going to complain. Did I reverse and buy calls? No, because Fridays, usually reversal days on Fridays, don't usually hold. Is this something huge happening? Is the market going to crash? I don't know, man. I'm not smart enough to do that. I just trade what's given. I get in, I get out, swing trade, sometimes day trade. I day traded a couple things today. At the open, I bought them. Literally in 3 hours later, I was selling them. So, just trade what's in front of you. Follow the 3 Ps. Be patient. You don't need to be in there every single day. But this fear and greed index is kind of interesting. So all you have to do is go to Google and put fear and greed index. It'll pop out. So if it gets up to extreme greed, by the way, which it was 4 days ago, 5 days ago, was into extreme greed. I'm like, how fast we went from extreme greed to extreme fear, right? It's a kind of cool thing, I don't care about CNN at all, about what they do. But this thing, since it puts all the things I'm watching in a basket and created this little meter, I'm like, let's play the game. Okay, so with that said, let's answer some questions. And then I'll go to my charts. And So this is my positions, but then before then, I'll go to my positions before I do that. All right, so everybody's here. Good morning, good afternoon. Craig, Techie, Sean. Hey, Sean, how are you? Cheeky Chops is here. Happy Friday. That's right, Edward. Happy Friday. PTP afternoon. Craig says Robinhood has what do you mean a trial? Paper trade? I don't know. Just another manic Monday. No, it's another manic Friday. Sergio manages me losers. I don't know. Do you have losers? You shouldn't. Well, we all have losers. No shame in losers. Jon Snow, good morning. The Fed doesn't issue the money. U.S. Treasury, but yeah, I get that. That's why. Okay, yeah, but the Fed moves the rates on the debt, right? Fed is like the gas. I do agree with that. U.S. Treasury does that, but Fed moves the rate, right? Fed is the gas and the brake pedal, right? And what is the Fed doing with these interest rates? They're following fiscal policy, and fiscal policy comes from where? Washington. So it's a broken system. Fed's kind of hands are tied. Yeah, so do I. It was exactly in the bill, 40%. And they go like, why did you guys need to make 40%? 2-year U.S. Treasury, yeah, 4.28 is pretty good, right? But then if you're losing 6% a year to inflation or debasing, I don't know. Well, it's better than zero, without a question. 10-year U.S. Treasury, 4.51. Yep. So at the moment, the U.S. government is paying, on average, what did it say, 3.4%, right? Well, that number is going to keep going higher. For the fact that all the maturing bonds are going to get replaced with these. We have to offer the world, rates that are palatable for them to buy the debt. Quantum computing goes both ways. Used to protect, used to hack. Yep, absolutely. I agree. But we do know you don't want quantum computing in the hands of bad characters. Do we know? We don't. Okay, so put all your questions, comments, if you have anything else in the chat. Let's go to the... Okay, hopefully you guys can see this full screen. Okie dokie. All right. Here we go. So I have 13,500 shares. I'm going to put these positions on the what do you call it? On the community page. Okay. Some things have moved quite a bit. What happened here? Let me see. Did Bitcoin tank again? Let's see. No, 97,000. Interesting. All right. So I'm trading MSTU, people. As you guys can see, it's full of MSTU in the middle. I sold the puts. I want to get exercised. I sold 12.5, 13, 13.5, 14, 14.5, 15 puts. Okay. And at the moment, MSTU is 1184. I'm going to get put all of these things, 3,000 shares, and I'm going to turn around immediately, like I did with MSTX last 3 weeks. I got assigned shares. Immediately I went and sold calls. The premiums on these options are so high, seriously, so ridiculously high, that this is my new ATM machine. So as you guys can see on the bottom, SPY puts, I'm all out. Thank you for the money. And last but not least, let's look at the MSTU options that I'm going to sell for next week. So my buying price is going to be what? 15, 14.5, 14, 13.5, 13, 12.5. You're all going to say, well, Serge, you're down on all of them. Yes. However, okay, the MSTU right now is 1186, 1187. Okay. When I sold these puts, I took in tons of premium though. So if I deduct all the premium I'm taking in, my cost basis is going to be right about 1210. Okay. Considering before the market opened this morning, MSTU was 910, which I was willing to buy more. In fact, right at the open, I bought calls and I sold the calls. I bought them at 2, sold them at 3. That's right here. January $10 calls I bought, and that's why you guys are seeing 0 in there, because I bought and sold it. And so you hold me to it, and here it is, right there. I bought them at 2. I sold them at 3. No lies. Show everything. I sold a lot of the puts between 14.5 and 18.5 on the spiders that I bought at 580. I'm happy with that transaction. I started buying ROOT. It's an AI insurance company. Had blowout earnings, went up to 120, pulled back to 70. I'm buying January 100 calls. I have 50 of them so far. I bought 50 of them with an average cost of 182. They're about 150, 165. I'm okay with that. January 17th expiration, by the way. Again, none of this is trading advice. This is all information and education. If you are going to tag along and follow me, do it at your own risk. I get in, I get out. What I do may not be applicable to you, because by the time Monday, Wednesday, Friday comes around, I may be out of the position altogether. Or what if I get out on Thursday and it's not there on Friday, but you're still holding it, right? So going back to MSTU, at the moment, if market closed right now, I'm going to get assigned 3,000 shares. I'm going to get assigned 500 shares at 15, 500 shares at 14.5, 500 shares, 500 shares. Taking out the premium, my cost basis, which I figured out already, is about 12.10. The ETF right now is at 11.85, so I have a 30-cent loss. Well, what am I going to do with that? I'm going to go, just like I did with MSTX, I'm going to go and let's look at the premiums for next Friday's expiration. I'm not going to go any longer than that. So this is MSTU. This is the option chain of MSTU. And this is the 20th, which is today, which is going to, so let's look at the 27th. On the 27th, by the way, it's a short week because of Christmas. It's a 3.5-day option cycle. And let's look at those options. Let's look at those calls. So my cost is going to be 12.10, assuming stock ends up here, 11.80. And it is at 11.80 on Monday morning at the open. On a short cycle, which ones would I sell? All right, let's go sell the 12.5 against my position, right? At the moment, they're 65.70 cents. On my cost of 12.10, 65.70 cents. Let's say I sell them at 65 cents. That's about 6% I'm taking in for 3.5 days. Now, what's going to happen? If it's above 12.5, I'm going to get taken away, just like I did with MSTX. And then, I will make about 11% overall in about a week and 2 days. If it doesn't get taken away, my cost basis will go down from 12.10 minus 65 cents down to 11.5. And next week, I'm going to do them again. Now, you can say, Sergio, why are you doing the Decembers? Why don't you go further out and sell January 3rd options? I'm like, okay, we can do that. Let's look at those. Let's look at the premiums. Why am I doing all this, right? The reason for that is you guys see this column right here where it says implied volatility? That's why I'm playing this game. If the implied volatility was not between 160 and 190 on these things percent, I would never do this, right? But so 2 weeks out is $1.20. That's 10, 11% that I'm going to take in if I wanted to do that. So I may do a mixture of it, or I can go further out. I can go to regular expiration January 17th and sell the 12.5s, or maybe I'll sell the 15s, give myself some room. Maybe I'll make some money, more money on the upside if it goes to 15, which it could. I don't know. So 12.5 sort of regular expirations are $2 now, right? All right, so $2 on $12.10 is close to 17%, 18% for a single month. Now, imagine you keep doing this month after month. What if it does get taken away? Great. So let's look at the 15s. Not only I will make $3 per share on the equity plus the premium, the 15s regular January expiration 15s are $1.25 to $1.50. I think those are the ones I'm going to do. Taking 10% month after month. And that's the game I'm playing. With I'm not trading Bitcoin. I will buy Bitcoin if it goes down to 80,000 though. I'm not trading Bitcoin. I'm not trading MicroStrategy. I'm paying very close attention to the mNAV, and I'm trading the ETFs of MicroStrategy. I'm not even looking at MicroStrategy. So that's where we are. Let's go through some charts. Let's talk about the computer craze. Crazy computer, quantum computing stocks. Let's do it. All right, let's go to the charts. Let's go through the regular. Let's go to the regular charts. Yeah, market had a massive reversal day today. Look at that beautiful, kind of a key reversal day. Hasn't closed yet, obviously, but MACD has turned down. We have broken an uptrend. We are under the 20-day. We closed 2 days in a row under the 50 EMA. You know, I don't know. I'm not really trusting the market, but you know, I trade what's given. So yeah, we open lower. You know, we're working on a higher close. S&P 500 still in an uptrend inside this 3-year channel that I don't usually draw too many lines on my charts. I like naked charts, as you all many know me. I have a MACD on the bottom, volume, 200 EMA, 50 EMA, 20 EMA, and the Bollinger Band. That's pretty much how I look at things. I don't want to draw too many lines to create more biases. So this is this is the triple Qs. I mean, we absolutely came and kissed the 50-day today. You guys see this, right? 50-day was 508.56, and the low for the triple Qs, which MicroStrategy and Bitcoin is part of now. Let's see what the low was. Low was 509.29, and the 50 EMA was 508.57. Literally almost came and kissed it, and we turned it up. Still in an uptrend. You know, I don't see negativity. A lot of people get negative really quickly. In fact, on the members only, I gave all of them. That's why you should become a member. I gave the members buy on dip kind of a things, right? Apple is doing wonderfully. I mean, stronger than the market itself. There are some stocks in the NASDAQ 100 that are not doing that well, but NVIDIA is actually surprisingly is not acting as well as the other ones. If you compare an Apple or Meta, right? Look at the difference in these charts. I mean, Amazon and, you know, Apple, I mean, all of them are doing better than NVIDIA at the moment. But again, no downtrend, nothing exciting really. They're just doing what they're supposed to do. Now let's go through some more stocks. So this is my watch list. Actually, I'm going to go through quickly. You guys can watch this or write the symbols down. We've been talking about Archer Aviation. There's the EV tolls, right? This is what I'm talking about when I talk about buy on dips, right? When a stock is going sideways, my favorite setup is sideways, breakout above the 200 EMA. The 20 and the 50 crosses the 200, and then it's on its way. Now we have an uptrend. You don't have to every pullback to the first time 20 EMA should be bought, which it did here, and today we're back up to almost 10 again. So all I'm saying to you all is that find stocks that are uptrending. You can miss the bottom by 15%, top by 15%. It's okay. Just like Affirm, and I've been talking about Affirm forever now. Well, not forever, but since this was the earnings catalyst gap up. Since then, uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. Gotta find uptrend. C3 AI is one that I added recently, and then this is the symbol AI. This pullback yesterday, actually close to the 50 EMA at about 33-ish, 34. If you're buying it, if you're a buyer, this is the buy on dip. That's the one, right? AMD trash, really don't like that chart, but I watch it because it's leader. Look at the difference between AMD and Apple, or AMD and Micron, or okay, here's it. AMD and Avago, Broadcom, right? Basically chip companies, or TSM, Taiwan Semi. Even within the same group, what I'm trying to explain to you all or teach you all is this: underperformance, right? And outperformance. Look at AMD's chart. Death, retesting lows. Avago, new all-time high, gapped up even, right? That's an outperforming stock. AMD is an underperforming stock. Why do you need to be, guessing bottoms and stuff like that and be in underperforming stocks? Find yourself, which with my help, you can. Here's here's one of the quantum computing stock, Arctic Quantum. I mean, look, some of these are going to have value, but then they will get nailed. Yesterday, the day before the high, 42.90. Yesterday's low on ARQQ was 23 in a single day. If you have the stomach for these things, hey man, knock yourself out, trade it in and out, whatever you want to do. I'm busy with other things at the moment. When I say other things, like, I'm trying to make a MSTU, an ATM machine. Here's one of my old favorites. It's coming into my buy range. If it goes down and maybe 112-ish, I'm definitely going to get back in. Kava was one of my favorite stocks for a year and 4 months, which I bought in the 30s, low 30s, sold it at 160, 158 actually in my long-term portfolio. It's pulling back into 200 EMA, 118, 112, 115. I will start buying it in my long-term portfolio again. Love that company. Growth is still there. It got a little too fancy. I mean, too expensive, actually. Let's look at, go through my list. In my long-term portfolio, I have 2 stocks. I had 3 starter position on PLL. I got stopped out. ELF is one. I have it in my long-term portfolio, both starter positions. And Unity Software, I have a full position. And that's it. That's what I have in my long-term portfolio. I pretty much sold everything else. Let's look at, okay, here's another quantum computing stock, IONQ. I mean, these things have been moving. They have all been moving. So, during the members live, I mentioned this, and I'm mentioning it now. The day that Google came with their quantum chip, they announced it to the world, right? That day, Google did fantastically, obviously. But all these smaller stocks or mid caps and small caps have been already on the move, and that exacerbated the move. That put it into the limelight, into the public eye, right? And sure enough, high frequency trading, algos came in, and look what they're doing to these stocks. This stock was a $10 number. Now it's 46 in a matter of a month and a half, right? But is it in an uptrend? Absolutely is. Did it give you multiple chances to get in? Absolutely did. So find stocks that are in uptrends. And when they're in uptrends, no worries. You buy the pullback, you buy the dip. You shouldn't be worried about it. I put up a lot of different names, but I'm going to just kind of focus on few quantum computing stocks and a couple of okay, here's MSTR, MicroStrategy. What did MicroStrategy do today? It came like kissed the 50-day EMA right at 323-ish. Today's low on MicroStrategy is what? 317 EMA. Well, yeah, I mean, right there. It's just, to me, it's like MACD is still going down, nothing powerful, but I think mNAV is it. Okay, Bitcoin 98,000, MicroStrategy 540, Bitcoin 98,000, MicroStrategy, 314 low, right? So watch the mNAV, please. I did a video explaining how you guys should calculate it. Please watch it, and then you can trade. MSTU is, you guys see all these lines? These are all the naked puts I have sold. So where is MSTU now? Holy crap, 1226. I'm short the 1250 puts. I may not get put. I want to get put. Don't go too much higher. Stay where you're at, buddy. Because I want to sell those juicy calls. Netflix have done ridiculously well in the Mag 7. I mean, look at that thing. It's just find stocks like this, people. Buy the dips. Market goes up, stock goes up. Market goes down, stock doesn't go down. Those are the types of stocks we're talking about. This is Norwegian Cruise Lines. It's just kind of consolidating before the next leg up. It's back on my watch list. And then you have stocks like this. NUKK is the symbol. It's called nucleus. It goes from $1.89 to $80 yesterday. I mean, you go, well, if you just bought like 1,000 shares, you would be wealthy. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, all these I find. How do you find this? You're gonna say at the, each brokerage house has a scanner. Just run a scanner in the morning, pre-open. You will find them all. It's not hard to find. Trading is something else. So MicroStrategy and Palantir. This is Palantir is going into the Nasdaq 100 as of the 23rd. Every index that has a Nasdaq, every company that has a Nasdaq 100 ETF has to buy a certain amount of Palantir and a certain amount of MicroStrategy. And here's some more quantum names, the ridiculous moves. I don't really seriously. Here's one. Went from 70 cents to 10.5 yesterday. This morning it pulled back all the way to 5.5, and we're back up to 7. Look, these are for people with strong stomachs. If you have the capability of trading these, by all means, just set up your short-term charts. Like, okay, I'll just show you guys. Okay, set up your 2-minute 2-day, 2-minute 1-day. This is 2-minute 1-day. This is the VWAP right here, the red line. Set up your 10-minute 10-day, which I have, and set up your 30-minute, 1 hour, 60-minute 30-day. You can kind of guess where to get in and out of these things, really. It's just a guess more than anything else. But when a stock goes from 70 cents to $10, and if you're chasing it at $10, you're going to get nailed, and that's what happened yesterday, okay? After hitting 10.5 yesterday, it sold off to 619, closed there. This morning opened at 5 change. It didn't even pull back. This thing pulled back multiple times to the 20 EMA and then reversed. This didn't even, still so far away from moving averages. I would like to short a few of these, actually. I don't really mind. Here's another one, 2 crazy ones. QBTS. So I found all these stocks with options, actually. This QBTS is D-Wave Quantum Inc. These companies, nobody knew about these. Look at this sideways, right? Sideways, sideways, sideways forever. And then when they start moving and the volume comes in, FYI, this thing yesterday traded 200 million shares, and outstanding shares are nowhere near that. And you guys are going to say, where is all this volume coming from? It's coming from HFTs. They're just buying and selling to each other, and people coming shorting it, they're getting nailed and getting covered, force covered. QBTS. That's D-Wave Quantum. Okay, look at this one. Look at this one, people. QUBT. For God's sakes. QUBT. Quantum Computing Inc. Okay? Here it is. Look. $1.20. Yesterday we hit 27. But all I'm saying is that, you don't need to be when it's going dead sideways like this for a year, 2 years. But when it starts moving and you see this kind of volume, right, coming in, something is happening, right? And then that's when you just kind of get in and experience one of these buy and hold types. These are not buy and hold things, okay? This thing hit 27 and change yesterday, 27.15 high. Yesterday's low from the day before, 27.15. Yesterday's low was 13. Somebody paid 27 for that. And this morning, equaled yesterday's low, nowhere near as 20 EMAs. This has options. I will most likely sell calls on this now, collect some premium. There's another one, Rigetti Computing. They're all looking the same, right? All gone parabolic, all extended daily averages. And, when that happens, you guys need to understand the game comes to an end. And when it comes, these will become my favorite sell the premium things, because the IV on these is like 300, 400, 500 on some of them. This is Root. This is the one I've been buying. I started buying calls on. It's into support right about here. This is the earnings day. It gapped up. It had closed at 40, gapped up, hit the same day 120, pulled back all the way and closed at 65, retested 112. I'm buying January 100s. They're cheap. I'm not risking really too much money. I bought 50 of them so far. I'll hold it for a double, hopefully. And what else? If you guys have questions, please put it in the chat. Soundhound, another one that we've been talking about. Look at that chart, right? These are the, I mean, nowhere near the 50, nowhere near the 20. They're like double. The prices, the shares is double as 50 EMA. That's how extended these things are. Most of them outside the upper Bollinger Bands. I'm like, no, not my game. There's one that I just looked at actually this morning, which I may, it's gone green already. God dang it. Yep, it's gone green in a big way. This is called WiseKey. These people do quantum computing security software, believe it or not. All these companies I added to my list now. This thing went from 2 to 14 yesterday. Yesterday it pulled back to 570. 14 to 570, right? I traded UMAC, which is a drone maker. If you guys watch the community page and the positions, you guys will see I bought some at run, and this is all the trading I did. But if I take all that garbage out, let's take all that out so you guys can see the price action. I bought 4,000 shares around 9 range, sold them all about 11 and a half, 12. Then it went up to like 13. But this is what they do. I mean, this thing went from 2.5 to 23, pulled back to 20 EMA as close as possible. So I bought it right about here. And then risk at that point is low, but I cannot buy these things after the first pullback. What I need to do is I need to be really careful. And then the last but not least, Zenatech is the one that I found. ZENA is the symbol. That's another drone maker, AI drone maker, actually. This is a new issue. This may be interesting to me. To me, it is interesting. So it doesn't have options, but this is a cheap enough stock that, I mean, risk is low, really. Like you're risking the 50 EMA, sideways, and a breakout. That's what we're looking at, just like it did here. Again, consider this was $1.50 number. We're talking $8 now. And today's high is 10, low is 6.5. So there's a lot of volatility in all of these. Be careful if you're going to do it. These are not buy and holds. These are just trading. You want to make 50 cents, a buck, or whatever. Get in, get out. Enjoy your day. Because I don't know if they're worth their soul or not, pump and dump or not. So be really, really careful. Just because I'm saying it doesn't mean you guys need to be in it. So let's see if I'm going to put this MSTU 1228. Holy crap. Can you just stop going up? I want the shares, buddy. Please. I mean, if MicroStrategy goes back to like 370, this thing is going to be like 17, 18. My cost is like 12, 10 if I get put every share. I may not even sell the calls. We'll see how it goes. So with that said, I'm going to answer some questions and say goodbye. Let's do that. All right. Yeah, I did. Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, okay. 140. Okay, 2-year treasure. Okay. Quantum computing goes. Okay. Edward Lee, MSTU, 15 calls for January 17th expiration. Yeah, I know. Edward Lee says, what does he say? MSTU 15 calls. Yeah, the $1.50. I would imagine BTC does MSTR will get a big bump after it, potentially. Yeah, I traded the January 10s this morning, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. See, you're trying to like put some fundamental stuff and make sense of it and buy an option. I would never do that. You're just kind of guessing. Just trade what the market's giving you, man. If it pulls back into support, buy some options. I wouldn't buy options because of the inauguration. I don't see the correlation. If you know that, market knows that already better than you. So look, forget. Don't even look at MSTU. Think of Bitcoin. Okay, so you have to. This is the totem pole. We have Bitcoin. Under it, we have MSTR, Michael Saylor. Under it, we have MSTU and MSTX. Under that, we have the equity options. We have the ETF options. That's the way you have to look at it. So if Bitcoin moves, all are going to move up or down. If you think Bitcoin is going to move up, regardless of inauguration or whatever, if Bitcoin is going to move up, MSTR is going to move up. MSTR moves up, MSTU is going to move up. 2x of what MSTR moves up. The other thing is those are daily returns on MSTR and MSTU and MSTX. So here's a calculation, Edward. Figure this out. So MSTU moves 2x of what MSTR moves, right? All right. So let's say you pay $10 for MSTU, $10 a share. All right. Next day, MSTR goes up 10%. Okay. What is MSTU going to do? It's going to go up 20%. So it's going to go from 10 to 12, right? Let's do this. The next day, MSTR goes down 10%. Okay. So you're still even. Well, MSTU is going to go down 20%. What is 20% of 12? $2.40. Now you're under your buying price. You're going to be $9.60. That's called slippage. You're losing money with these ETFs. You're going to buy and hold them. And if you're buying the options and holding them, you're losing worse. So I just want to make you understand what you're dealing with when you're dealing with these ETFs. That's why I'm a seller of premium all these options on these ETFs. Directional bets are really, really difficult unless you're convinced that MSTR is going to go up 5 days in a row. Then you can tag along. But if you're going to trade the options on these directionally, it's going to be very difficult to make money. Very difficult because the pricing of the options are so high. That's why I'm selling them as opposed to buying them. So hopefully you understood that. Yes, I did. I looked at it, and let me see if I added it to my watch list. Hold on. It's up a lot today. I saw that, and I responded to your comment too. Let me see. Yeah, it's up 25% today. Yeah, good call, man. Actually, it was up more. It was at 7. Yeah. Went sideways, breakout. I mean, it's okay, but yeah, it is on my watch list now. Could be one of your traders, really, honestly. What do they do like some sort of biotech or something? Is that what they do? Yeah, they do biotech, right? I tried to stay away from biotech, man. I have one that's a headache for me. I tried to stay away from biotech. Just trade these other ones. Trade these crazy quantum stocks. I mean, that's what I would do. So if there's no more questions, so thank you for the support. Thank you for joining. If you become a member, I'll send you a shirt, but that shouldn't be the incentive. The incentive of becoming a member is joining the live streams. Next 2 weeks, members only live is going to be, next 2 weeks, the members only live is going to be on Thursdays instead of Wednesdays because we have holidays on both Wednesdays. Every Monday, this Monday coming up, I'll probably sell the calls on MSTU while I'm live with you all. Trading with Sergio, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Every Friday, Power Hour, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. You all be safe. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys on Monday.